Welcome to Smart Route, the podcast by Call Tracking Metrics, where you'll hear stories from businesses at the intersection of marketing, customer experience, and sales. We're sitting down with business leaders and industry experts to dive deep into the path they took to find success. Here's your host, Andrew Clark.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew Clark, the host of Smart Route Podcast, back again with another episode. Today I am joined by Rawan Aldobai. Uh, did I pronounce? Did I get it correctly?
Yeah,
I'm a
you're
little
good.
rusty with
No,
Arabic,
no,
but
you're good.
but Rawan and I connected through a coworker of mine who said you got to talk to her. She's got a really interesting career path and is doing some really great things currently in the coaching world. She has started a system called the Career Accelerator,
Mhm.
yes, system, and focuses on working with women in particular who are feeling a bit stagnant in their professional careers, maybe searching for what comes next professionally. And she helps bring some really great things to light. We had the opportunity to connect before this episode, talk a little bit about her backstory. I think everybody who's listening to this episode, it's going to be a great one. Uh, and I'll turn it over to Rowan. Thank you again for joining us today. If you could just introduce yourself briefly and, you know, what you're doing currently.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. So, I'm Rawan. I'm an executive coach and leadership consultant and the creator of the Career Accelerator System. I specialize in working women, as you mentioned, break through career stagnation, get promoted, and build careers that they actually love. My journey began with my own experience trying to navigate the corporate world, like cultural expectations, burnout, and the pressure to prove myself from a very young age. I was like really successful when I started my career in corporate, but there was always something that felt like missing and there was always a gap. So over time, I realized that, okay, strategy is good because it helped me grow my career, but it's not enough. What truly, I've come to realize that what truly created career transformation was a mix of clarity, inner alignment, and confidence that is rooted in self-worth and not just like the performance that you get to show off on a daily basis. And that's why I launched my consulting company. So since then, I've been working with women from or at Fortune 500 companies, startups, and mission-driven nonprofit organizations, helping them lead with like power, their presence, and obviously get paid accordingly because that's not always the case with women in the corporate world.
For sure. And, thank you for sharing that. And, I'd like to go a little bit, back in history of like when you were starting out professionally, what were you thinking, okay, what's my career path going to look like? Were you drawn to anything at a young age and then stepped into that? Or did this kind of evolve just with time that you discovered things you were passionate about?
Well, it's a little bit of a mix of both. When I first started my career, I always saw in my head that I wanted to do something that had a great impact. So I did not know what that exactly was. So I knew that I wanted to lead and like not just like an traditional leadership role or just be a boss. I knew that I wanted to do something that like had a bigger impact. I just did not know what it is. And funny enough, like I started my career in finance, which had nothing to do with kind of, I mean, finances is good, it's important, I don't want to piss
Mhm.
anyone off, but it wasn't like it's not the traditional way to start if you were looking for like more like impact the way that I'm doing it right now.
Mhm.
So I started my career in finance. I like math, I like finance, I like numbers and all, but it got to a point where like, okay, this is not making any sense. um, and I started like with doing more of like development work, like career stuff, getting mentors and coaches and so on, just like for my own sake to try
Mhm.
to figure out, okay, what actually is the right career path for me, because I was growing. I was scaling up really quick in my career. I was always the youngest in the room, sitting with senior leadership, talking to them, giving them my opinions, and like actually working closely with them. So that wasn't an issue, but it was like I feel like I was in the wrong place, even if I was scaling up. And that's when I started to realize that, okay, maybe I don't want to be in the traditional corporate role. Maybe I can do
Mhm.
something to help women scale, because that was an issue with a lot of women. And I did not have that issue. And it was like, at the same time, I'm creating a new path for myself where I always wanted to have like more impact and work with people, but at the same time, I'm using the skills and the experiences that I've gained over the years in being in corporate. So, long story short, that's what I did. I left my corporate world. I started my consulting company, and the rest is history.
And what was it like when you were starting out? Like, did you ever have moments of like, ooh, did I make the right decision? Or were you always kind of like, nope, I'm set on this. I know this is going to succeed.
Honestly, it was a roller coaster. It continues to be.
Hmm.
But I remember like the very first months when I quit my job. Like I quit my job with no like actual plan. I was like, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to show up and work anymore. So I left. I gave them, I remember, like a 3 weeks notice, telling them that I'm not working here anymore. I left my job with that big ambition and faith in myself that okay, I'm gonna
Hmm.
make this work. And the very first 2 months were horrible because you're like fighting like okay, I'm stepping into a new world
Hmm.
with like different ups and downs. When you're working a steady job, like no matter how bad the day is, like it's still consistent. You know what's going
Hmm.
on. You know who to go to. You have a consistent paycheck. Like at the end of the day that you're getting paid no matter what. It was a very different story when you're starting your own company.
Sure.
So it's like in the very first 2 months, I was like in a, I would say, I would be like 1 hour I'm in a dark place, and then the next hour I'm like up in the clouds because I just had a conversation with someone and I helped them figure out something.
Hmm.
And I honestly thought about, I was thinking about like, am I doing the right thing? I remember in that 2 month period, I got a really good offer from a very big company, and it was like, oh, it's like the universe like testing. You know how it tests you? It's like, is this really what you want to do?
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
got that offer, and I'm like, I seriously started thinking about it.
Hmm.
And I remember like, no, 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 no. It's like I don't really want this. And then at that point, I did not have any clients yet. I did not actually
Hmm.
have any business. Like I did not have any income. And that, the fear, like I'm 10 days away from paying rent, having to pay rent.
Yes.
I don't have the money. I don't have a job. So should I
Hmm.
take the offer? And I remember it was like, okay, I was dwelling on it. And I was like, no, no, no. You know what? I replied back saying, thank you so much for the offer, for the interview. Because I
Hmm.
had that interview like a while ago. And then they went on like freezing their
Hmm.
hiring processes. And then they came back with the offer. Um, I was like, thank you so much for the opportunity. At this time, I'm not going to be moving forward with the
Hmm.
offer. And I remember it until now, Andrea, like I was literally shaking as I was typing that email because it was like my head is like, what are you doing? And in my heart, no,
Absolutely.
no, 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 I don't want to do this. Um, and I was like, okay, I guess I better make this work. And funny enough, within like the next week, I ended up
Hmm.
like signing a couple of clients, and I ended up having like one of my biggest months. It was like a 10K month, right? Of like
Wow.
starting and it was like the very beginning of my business. I was like, oh, okay, I can breathe a bit now. And in
Yes.
that moment, it's like when you realize in these moments where you have to make a very big decision, it's like you define what you want your life to look like and how you
Hmm.
want your career to end up being. Like, what do you want your path to look like? I wish I could say that that was the only time that I had that doubt and that was the only time that I thought about quitting. It's not the case. It's like with
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, there's always going to be the moments of the doubt. Is like, am I making the right choices? Not because I don't
Hmm.
see the impact of this, but it's like there is so much uncertainty. And at the beginning, it was hard to navigate. Now I'm like, I know it's part of life. It's part of this journey. You gotta choose what you want to have. Is it like the certainty that you want to
Hmm.
have and like the what everyone is doing, or if you want like the bigger, like for me, I feel like the bigger reward is seeing the impact that I'm making even years after working with someone, even like years after I post something or have a conversation. And
Hmm.
that always like brings me back to my why,
Yeah.
my purpose. It's like why I really started doing this. So
That so much of what you're saying really resonates with me. And I love how you framed it of almost having like life push you in this direction and
yeah,
having a door that you're aware of. Like if I walk through it, yeah, I'm going to have to stay on that path and
Yeah.
maybe forego this entrepreneurial streak. And yeah, how scary that can be. So I applaud you for taking that leap of faith and pursuing it. And I'm curious, as you were starting out, how were you finding those clients? Because, like you said, you are your boss. You don't have that other person to look to in a traditional office setting of like, okay, if I don't have money coming in, I can lean on a team.
Yeah.
So yeah, could you share a little bit about how you were going about as a new coach? Like, how are you finding people to work with?
It had a lot to do with putting myself out there, which was like
Hmm.
the scariest thing. If I would to say what was the scariest thing about starting my business, leaving my job, and like doing this, it was me putting myself out there and telling people what I do.
Yeah.
Um, because it's rare that you find someone who is like, okay, I'm just gonna tell people what I do, and then
Hmm.
just and it's like the fear of rejection comes up, like all the insecurities and like all the like the self doubt. So it was a lot of talking to people, telling them my story, posting that online, which felt so weird at the beginning, and it felt so scary. I'm like, what if people do not agree with what I did?
Hmm.
What if I don't really have what it got to help people, and I'm just dreaming about this? So it was mainly social media. I'm thankful for
Hmm.
social media, specifically LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And it was surprising because at the beginning I thought that okay, nobody's gonna care about what I have to say or what I'm doing and so on. But I was showing up on a daily basis. It's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years since I actually like officially launched my company and started on LinkedIn. And I've been posting there on a daily basis since the beginning. So I've never missed a
Wow.
day, like 5 days a week. I'll post like content, like telling people my story or like telling them how to do things and navigate the world. And I was surprised by the amount of like messages that I would get
Mm.
that what you're doing is truly inspiring. It's great what you're doing. A couple of people reaching out about like having interviews or wanting to know more about my journey and how to make this transformation. A couple of women that actually wanted to do similar things that they felt that they wanted to lift corporate and do something by themselves, but they were
Hmm.
always scared of if that was the right move to make. So it was mainly showing up on LinkedIn. Some days were good because like you'll get people reacting, people interacting and reaching out and asking you if you can help them or do something for
Hmm.
them. Sometimes it's like some days it just crickets and you're not hearing anything and you're not getting that
Sure.
feedback. But you know that it's like, okay, I'm in this for the long run.
Hmm.
It's not about what happened today. It's like, okay, I need to continue showing up. Something that I heard or I was told by one of my mentors that I always remind myself there is that if there's only one person out there today who needs to hear something that you have to say, you have
Hmm.
to show up for that person. And you don't know who that
Hmm.
is. So that's
Right.
why I always try to remind myself it's
Hmm.
okay, maybe today I don't have a client, or today I don't get anyone involved, or today I don't have anyone interacting, but I'm pretty sure that there is one person out there who will come across what I do and they'll get some kind of value out of it,
Right.
even if I don't see it, even if I don't hear about it. So it was like, yeah, mainly just showing up on social media, um, connecting with professional women in similar spaces and having conversations like casual conversations like
Hmm.
how can I help you. And I really believe in this. When you're out there sharing value, things take care of themselves. Like I offer clarity coaching calls, like random conversations or free resources to
Hmm.
people just to help, and that's where most of my clients have been coming from.
That's great to hear. I mean, I love kind of as somebody that's very into organic marketing, not really pushing on the paid side of things.
Yeah.
Uh, that's incredible to hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think what you said about building those relationships based on delivering value to other people, not even with a sales pitch involved, just
Yeah.
having those conversations is great. Um, and I'd love to go a little deeper into what you're doing currently with your clients and the system that you've developed because, I mean, I think all the experiences you've had, I'm sure, are relatable to many people that you work with,
Mhm.
but also like yeah, how does your system differentiate itself from all the other resources out there? Um, yeah, just tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So, one of the things that I'm really, really passionate about, and this comes from my own personal experience, is helping women, clients that I work with, redefine what success looks like for them.
Mm,
Not just chasing the titles, not just chasing the big salaries, but actually creating a path that aligns with who they are and the kind of life they want to live. And because I often see brilliant women, brilliant professionals, not just women, climbing the ladder just to realize that they are climbing the wrong one.
mm,
On paper, they're successful, but inside they feel misaligned, exhausted, or unfulfilled. So my work is mainly about helping them reconnect with their values and their long-term vision, and ensuring that they're moving in the right direction, not just moving fast. So throughout my career accelerator system, the things that differentiate it from all the other programs is like I start with helping my clients clarify their vision.
mm,
That's where I always tell my clients clarity is power. If you want to set yourself aside from the competition, from the craziness and all of that, you have to start with clarifying your vision, learning how to elevate their presence and advocate for their worth. Because if you're
mm,
not doing that, nobody else is going to do that for you.
sure.
So whether they're aiming for promotion, pivoting to a different industry, or stepping into leadership, the goal is always the same: growing their careers in a powerful, aligned, and sustainable way without the burnout, without the imbalance. I don't really believe that you should sacrifice your life for your career or vice versa. And that's one of
Agreed.
the biggest things that I started focusing on. And that's why I tell my clients that's how I wanted to build my system and make it different from all the career coaching programs, or like what you hear all the time. It's like, oh, you want to succeed, you have to work 12 hours a day. I mean, I
Mhm,
have nothing against hard work. The only reason I'm here today talking to you is because of the hard work, but that doesn't mean that
yeah.
you have to sacrifice your life for it. Hard work goes so far when it's coming from an aligned and balanced way, and where you're
Mhm,
growing your career but at the same time growing your life, and you're not feeling that something is getting lost in between the two. So a common and there is a common pattern that I see with professionals, especially women, is like hitting a ceiling, not
mm,
because of the skills gap, not because they don't have the experience. I've known, like, in the years I've been working with professional women from different industries, different levels. Like, I've worked with people, like VPs, and I've worked with entry level. It's never about the skills or the experience. It's
mm,
always because of one of the things that I call the invisible barriers, where they're just something in their heads, I guess,
mhm,
when you're not prepared to be in that place. So
mm,
they're over delivering. They have great skills. A lot of times they're overqualified. Their performances are amazing, and yet they're not being recognized, they're
oh,
not being acknowledged. And that leads people to start questioning if they're asking for too much, when in reality you're like, No, you're not." And that's like one of the things that I focus on when it comes to the career accelerator system. As I said, it's a lot of work to do with clarity and the alignment, and showing up in the right way to ensure that you
mhm,
are getting the value that you need from your career, or growing your career in the right way. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, is that, as I said, strategy is amazing. I'm strategic before anything else, but I know that strategy only sticks when it's grounded in identity. So
sure.
if you don't see yourself as someone who leads, someone who earns more, someone who succeeds or takes up space confidently, no promotion, no raise will ever feel sustainable. You'll never be happy with your career. That's why a lot of my work and the focus when it comes to the career accelerator system integrates a lot of mindset shifts, identity work, and strategic clarity. Because the
Mm,
goal is not just to get to the next level of your life or your career, it's about making sure that that next level is the right place, or something I say all the time. It's like, you want to make sure that the next level feels like home.
I love that. Yeah, and I think that's, to your point, much more sustainable. Um, Now, granted, you know, being a guy, I've had a lot of advantages in my life, especially professionally. But I could imagine, what you just said about invisible barriers. Um, Yeah, I've experienced that myself, that
Yeah.
self-doubt. And yeah, it takes years sometimes to overcome it. And it's something I'm imagining with your clients you're always working on. It's not something like, okay, I've conquered this thing, now it's in the past, I'm good. Um, but I'm curious, what you allude to some of the things that you commonly see in the clients you work with. What are some other interesting like trends that you're seeing when working with professionals nowadays?
Um, the main thing, like one of the biggest things, is the fear of making the wrong choices.
Hmm.
I talk to many, many, many professionals, and there is this thing that will always come up. It's like, I don't feel like I enjoy what I do right now. I work with many people in the marketing and industries, and so it's a very creative space. And I
Hmm.
talk to very intelligent people, and they're like, I'm great at what I do. I know that I could do even more. I don't feel like I'm growing as much here. But at the same time, like the world is changing. There's a lot out there that I haven't experienced yet or tried yet. But at the same time, it's like, what if I choose the wrong thing? And
Hmm.
I'm like, the age that we're living in right now, it's like the industries are growing really fast, really quick. And it's a blessing that we feel like a lot of people feel overwhelmed by the many choices that we have, but at the same time I feel like that's bringing up a new challenge that people are
Hmm.
facing, that it's like there's so many choices. I What if I end up choosing the wrong thing?
Right.
And that's when it's like, again, that's why I always start with the clarity. It's like, okay, you have so many choices, you have so many options. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But let's make sure that you know who you are and what are the things that you know that you're going to succeed at, and the way that you'll be growing to ensure that you're making the right choice. Because at the end
Hmm.
of the day, especially with how my career ended up being, I don't really believe that there is a wrong option when it comes to your career, as long
Hmm.
as you're being intentional. And I tell this to my clients all the time. It's like, maybe you have a dream job, but it doesn't mean that the next job that you get is that dream job.
Sure.
Sometimes it just the milestones that will take you to the bigger
Hmm.
goal. As long as you have clarity on what that big picture is going to look like, then what's in between, like, yeah, you have to have a plan, but you have to be flexible with your plan.
Hmm. Absolutely. And
You need that
yeah, I,
flexibility. The world is changing. How things are going is changing. So what you might have thought would be the right career path for you 5 years ago does not apply now. And it doesn't have
mhm,
to be specifically the way that you thought it would be. It's okay for you to make the turns and the the rounds and so on, as long as you're staying committed to the big picture.
mhm.
You'll eventually get there. So I would say, like, one of the biggest patterns that I'm seeing lately is that fear of making the wrong choices, stopping people before they even start.
And aside from gaining clarity about yourself and your purpose when it comes to the professional world, what are some other like practical tips you would relate to people listening if they're trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I've been in, say, like myself in the marketing world for 10 plus years,
Mhm.
but now I'm like getting that sensation of like, is this the right path?
Mhm.
Um, like, how do you, yeah, what do you tell people when they're getting that kind of inner voice saying, maybe I should explore elsewhere? How do you help guide them through that?
The first thing is, like, I never people are some a lot of times do not listen to that voice, and I'm sometimes like,
Hmm.
if that voice, like, if you're hearing that voice, it's coming up for a reason.
Hmm.
So don't shut it down. If you're wondering about something, that means that there is more that you want to experience and more that you want to grow into. So that's a good start. Like, asking, it's like, okay, what else can I do, what other paths can I explore? The I focus a lot on clarity, but the second thing that I also focus a lot, and I talk about this so much, is personal branding. You're in marketing, people who are
Yep.
listening are in marketing, you know what personal branding is at this
Hmm.
time and how big of an impact it could make in this age and era. So whether it's marketing or any people centric or a centric industry, the best thing that you can do early on, like once you start feeling that, okay, I need to make, you don't even need to wait until you start making shifts or thinking about making shifts in your career, is
Hmm.
like just start developing your ability to listen deeply, learn how to tell compelling stories about who you are and where you're coming from, and trust your unique voice. Again, we live in a very great time where things are going fast. There's so many things that change in the market and how you get a career and you get a job, but at the same time, we're getting to a point where everyone is the same
Hmm.
because of how
Yeah,
things are
I
going
see
on.
what you. Yeah.
But like it's like just going beyond that. Learn the most underrated. I think the most underrated thing that you can do is intentionally shape your personal brand. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's. You don't have
Mhm.
to follow all the trends. Trends are good. Yeah, you want to follow some of that, but not all of them. Be comfortable with defining who you are, as I said, defining your own
Mhm.
personal brand. And I don't mean just like getting a polished LinkedIn or the
Sure.
perfect resume, because that gets boring to a point. It's like if every LinkedIn looks the same, if every resume looks kind of similar, you're not standing out. I mean, like
Hmm.
really defining who you are. Um, what do you stand for? What does success actually means for you? Something that I always tell my clients when you're writing your resume and where you're talking about your experiences, nobody cares about the task that you've been accomplishing. I mean, yeah, it's
Sure.
good. That's great. But what kind of story are you trying to tell with all of that experiences and skills? Because guess what? If let's say you're exploring new opportunities and you want to get to that next level in your career, you're interviewing with a company and, someone who's been hearing the same kind of tasks and skills
Hmm.
and experiences over and over and over again, because if you're applying for that job, definitely like everybody's gonna have the same kind of experience and skills, right?
Absolutely.
How do you stand out? It's like with the story that you tell. So when you're building that, when you're building your resume, your LinkedIn, or you're having even like a conversation, networking and talking to people on a random Wednesday, you want to learn how to start telling your story. It's like how did you become the person you are in your career right now,
Hmm.
and what shaped you to be that person?
For
How did
sure.
you get like how did you start and how you came here? It's like a story. None of that like the fluffy perfect like image. No, people like I love where we are right now because people are valuing authenticity above like
Hmm.
perfectionism, and I like that. I mean, you don't want to go too much where it's like you're not
Sure.
taking it seriously, but at the same time just like have you know how it's like having that unique sense of who you are, because like that opens up a lot of doors. That starts
Hmm.
to make you stand out because you're not just another person with the same experience and the same skills. You know,
Right.
you're more authentic, you're more consistent with who you are, you're more memorable to anyone
Hmm.
you talk to and anyone you have a conversation with. So yeah, it's like learn how to build your personal brand, like learn how to tell your story in a unique way, um, because guess what, lots of people have the same title, lots of
Hmm.
people have the same skills and experiences, but no one is going to have the same story as you are, the one that you
100%. And, as a testament to what you're saying, I actually got feedback from my company and my teammates after I got hired to talk about some of this, of like what stood out when interviewing, because they were, like you're saying, they were interviewing multiple rounds of people, hearing kind of the same thing over and
have.
over again for this particular role. And then they said, in hindsight, like, yeah, your personal journey and some of the experiences you had really stood out to us and were memorable. And
Yeah,
it showed that you were thinking in a different way, and that's what we wanted. So yeah, it does work. Does it require you stepping out of what's comfortable sometimes? Absolutely,
yeah.
especially in a professional setting. I found, because like a job interview, it's probably one of the first times you're meeting these people face to
Mm,
face, maybe over a call like this. Um, yeah, so I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I think both of us can attest to it does work.
it
Um,
does.
a-
Yeah.
and I think working with somebody like a professional coach like yourself is a great way to get over some of these fears and work through it, going through kind of these practice runs that when you are in those real settings of going for a job or maybe starting your own company, you're training those muscles and have the mental fortitude to say, yep, I know I'm confident in myself,
Hmm.
and I can do this.
True. Absolutely.
And Rowan, as we're getting ready to wrap up the episode, the question of the show I always like to leave with is, uh, what are one to two pieces of advice you would relay to somebody just starting out in marketing? Um, you already kind of touched upon some of this. I love the personal branding and storytelling, but
Mm.
is there anything additional you would say to say a younger version of yourself?
Um, Yeah, my final advice would be this, and I wish someone told me this before. I mean, I was ambitious, but I wish like someone told me this like in blunt, the way that I'm gonna say it now is do not wait to be invited. Do not
Mm,
wait for permission. The, if you see a seat at the table that you want, learn how to take it. If there is an opportunity that you're interested in, go
mm,
get it. Have the conversation, start leading, start doing what you want to do where you are right now. Do not
yeah,
wait until the perfect opportunity comes to you, or when you're invited into the conversation, or where you're invited into those opportunities. Take the initiative when growing your career. I hear this a lot of times, like people saying that oh, I'm just waiting for something to open up, or I'm just waiting for my mentor or my boss or my manager or my VP to provide me with this opportunity or help me open up this. No one is coming to save you. Like no
hmm
one, like even like the best mentors and bosses, and I've had great, the best of kind of bosses and mentors in my career. Honestly, thank God, knock on the wood, I've never had like a bad manager. But
hmm
as much as they were great, no one is gonna come and rescue you from your and help you build your career the way that
yeah,
you will. So don't wait until like you're being provided a permission to
mhm,
say lead, or to explore the other options you have in your career, or
sure,
own your voice, or be different. Like no, no one is going to invite you in. No one is going to give you that permission. You have to learn how to take control of your career. Don't wait for someone to create that opportunity for you. You have to start creating those opportunities for yourself. um, and when I reflect into my career, I think I never did this intentionally, but I
mhm,
look back and I see that one of the reasons I was able to grow really quick in my career, even though I was always, as I said, the youngest, is me just like stepping up all the
mhm,
time before even being asked to step up. And I'm not
okay,
talking about just taking more job responsibilities. No, that's
mhm.
different. You don't want to do that. It was like knowing how to step up and actually start putting yourself and positioning yourself in the right environment, in the right conversations, in the right
Mhm,
places to start getting the more of the opportunities that you want to grow. It's like just think about that. If you have a great story to tell, a unique personal brand, and you are
mhm,
taking initiative, you're not waiting for anyone to come and call you, because that no one is going
sure,
to take you. It's like you better show them some kind of leadership, even if you don't want to be in leadership. You
mhm,
world has been changing because of the people who took the initiatives, the people who took the
sure,
first step. They did not wait for the world to tell them what to do or how to go about their lives or their careers.
mhm,
So if you have that personal brand, a unique story to tell, and you are being super, I mean, ambition is having a bad reputation these days. But if you're being ambitious enough to take the initiative in growing your career, there is nothing more that would help you grow. Like these two, like they're underrated skills, but they will serve you no matter how the industry evolves, no matter how the world changes. People are
mhm,
thinking about AI. It's good. AI is great, and unfortunately, yeah, it's going to be replacing a lot of things. But if you learn how to take the initiative and start leading in your career, and owning your own story, nothing is going to stop you. No market, no economy, no war, nothing.
yeah, right. Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. And uh, where can listeners follow you and connect with
They
you?
can always follow me on LinkedIn. I share, as I said, it's been almost 4 years. I always share there like daily advices and tips and insights on leadership, growing your career, your personal brand. It's going to be Rawan Aldobai, my first and last name. They can also connect with me via my website. It's
Mhm,
rawanaldobai.com. There's a link there to schedule a totally free clarity coaching call where I just help people get some kind of clarity, and just if they need help with any of this, they can connect with me there. But as I said, I'm always happy to have just like even casual conversations. So feel free to connect on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm more than happy to have a conversation.
Great. Well, thank you again, and thank you to our listeners. And we'll make sure to include all the links in the episode description and blog so you can connect with Rawan directly and hopefully connect and set up a coaching call. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Smart Route Podcast. Share your favorite takeaways with us on Twitter at Smart Route Pod. Smart Route is brought to you by Call Tracking Metrics, and you can find more at calltrackingmetrics.com/podcast. Follow along for ideas and conversations that will inspire your own business path forward. Speaking of smart paths, are your marketing, sales, and service teams on the same page? In today's remote world, it's easy to get disconnected. Call Tracking Metrics can help. We empower smart marketing teams to determine the best route for campaigns by showing exactly which ad campaigns are driving conversations that convert. Operational teams can use that data to automate call flows and power contact center success. Visit calltrackingmetrics.com to see why more than 100,000 customers around the globe trust Call Tracking Metrics to manage communications for their marketing, sales, and service teams.